This video is now in session, and Boris Johnson will end up like Andrew Cuomo. Both of them have been underwater in their recent scandals over the past month for Boris Johnson and 1 year ago for Andrew Cuomo. And these kinds of scandals, at first, if you just take those scandals alone, they don't really cause a necessity for resignation. But when you combine those scandals together, it becomes like a death of 1,000 cuts. And that's what ultimately drove down Andrew Cuomo, and that's what most likely will happen to Boris Johnson. So for context, the reason why I'm making this video is because Boris Johnson is in yet another scandal. This time it's more of a sex scandal in that one of his appointees to his cabinetry, who is named Chris Pincher, he has several known cases of sexual misconduct allegations. And at the time that Boris Johnson rehired him in 2019, Johnson was aware that Pincher had multiple sexual misconduct investigations, and because of that, a lot of people are now angry at Johnson again. So much so that two top ministers have quit. Rishi Sunak, who is the Chancellor of the Exchequer, which basically deals with all the finances, and as well as Minister Sajid Javid, who is the Health Minister. And those are very two high-profile positions, especially given that at this moment, the United Kingdom is facing very large issues on both the economy and as well as its general welfare. For its healthcare system, the United Kingdom is facing a lot of issues, and inflation, like in the United States, is plaguing Great Britain. So because of that, because of the resignations of those very high-profile positions, it's incredibly likely that we'll see another vote of no confidence towards Boris Johnson, and we will likely see him end up like Theresa May and Andrew Cuomo. Now, why do I say that? So the reason why is because if we look at Theresa May, the downfall of her prime ministership in 2019 was because of her incompetence with pushing through Brexit. Her Brexit deal got shot down by a very large margin. And before then, there was a vote of no confidence, given the concerns of Theresa's inability to execute Brexit. But after that major vote, and the Conservatives have had enough, and a second vote of no confidence resulted in Theresa May being kicked out of her position. And the same kind of pattern is happening here, where there was a lot of unease the first time in the first no confidence vote for Boris Johnson with the Partygate scandals and his lying, and the flip-floppiness of his messaging about the Partygate scandals, but ironically, Chris Pincher did a ton of backdoor deals to defeat that vote of no confidence. But now there's another scandal. And at this point, he has not only lost the trust. Boris Johnson has not only lost the trust of the general public, but at this point, he has lost the trust of his closest ministers, his closest cabinet, who has been incredibly loyal to him up until this moment. So that indicates to the conservative MPs, who are basically the equivalent of representatives in Congress for the United States, that indicates to them that they're free to vote against Boris Johnson, given that two of his highest profile ministers have left. And both of them, in their resignation, have faulted Boris Johnson's handling of these scandals as the reason why they have left their positions. Now, obviously, both men are on the left and right of Johnson. They're looking for higher positions. Rishi Sunak may be looking for a prime ministership position himself in the future, but they've both deemed it politically. They've deemed it politically inviable for them to advance their careers under the direction of Boris Johnson, which indicates a lot. And that's very similar to what happened with Andrew Cuomo, where at first there was news of the nursing home scandal where he purposefully undercounted nursing home deaths from COVID-19, and then there's also his sex scandals. Now, those two things, they're very major things, but they didn't quite sink him given that it was only two scandals. But then later on, when those scandals began to grow in gravity and people understood more of the situation, they had enough of him. And that's when Cuomo had no choice but to resign. He was facing impeachment from both the House Speaker, the Senate Majority Leader, the State Senate Majority Leader, as well as the U.S. Senate Majority Leader, and the Democratic President Joe Biden. And we're seeing something similar here happen with Boris Johnson facing threats again by a ton of conservative MPs and as well as his own cabinets, which frankly, that just further proves how, at this point, Johnson may be over. He was very good at his job of in 2019 of galvanizing voters in the central Great Britain region, the Red Wall region of Manchester, Liverpool, and those areas of blue-collar workers. He was very central in getting those areas to flip from red to blue in 2019. But at this point, he is showing ineffectiveness to do even the core reason of why he was brought up in the first place. If you look at the 2022 by-elections that happened just a few weeks ago, in the Wakefield by-election, the Labour Party was able to gain a seat from the Conservative Party in a major shift of plus 8.6 points for the Labour Party, which is the left party, and then a negative 17% change between 2019 and 2022 for Johnson's party. And if we look at this seat, Tiverton and Huntington, a seat that is more conservative, more right-leaning than Wakefield, you'll see that there was also a massive shift towards the Lib Dems, who are the centrist party of the United Kingdom. You can see here that Johnson lost 21.8% of the vote in this election compared to 2019. So Johnson's not even able to effectively do the core reason why he was brought up in the first place. It's because of all of these factors and the growing scandals and the new scandals that have plagued Johnson. At this point, it's very hard for him to save his career, and his days may certainly be numbered. So that's the end of this video. Hope you enjoyed it. This video is now adjourned, and I'll see you in the next one.